Royal Enfield Himalayan in the Himalayas. Let's do it. But do you mind we just stop? I want to put my thermals on. I'm fucking freezing, mate. Jesus Christ. Hey everyone, Mr. X Rides here. Today, we're embarking on an epic journey through the mighty Himalayas. But first, let me introduce you to my ride, the original 411 Royal Enfield Himalayan. So this is the first generation Royal Enfield Himalayan. With a 411cc single-cylinder engine, it produces about 24 to 25 horsepower, which yes, it's not much, especially for a motorcycle weighing close to 200 kilos. However, don't let these numbers fool you. This bike is built to do one thing and one thing well, which is to really just bulldoze tough, difficult terrain, which is exactly what I put it through over my 10-day trip. So equipped with long travel with suspension, it boasts about 200 millimeters of travel for the front forks, about 180 millimeters on the rear mono, about 220 millimeters of ground clearance. And it does have a 21-inch front wheel, 17-inch rear, has dual-purpose tires from the factory. It's got a 300 millimeter front disc and 240 in the rear, dual-channel ABS, which can be switched off. Also comes with a 15-liter fuel tank, which is not bad for decent rides with long kilometers. Fairly comfortable to ride. Nice broad handlebars. The first generation, it really honestly has got zero electronics. It is like an AK-47 of motorcycles. So as we leave Manali behind, the road starts to climb. The air gets crisper. You could really feel the oxygen going down. When I first got to Manali, I had some pretty serious altitude sickness. If you ever get this, I highly recommend to lie down. Have some chai, specifically chai with ghee or milk. Take your time, hydrate, let your body adjust before you get going again. It can really make you sick and lightheaded. So if you're not used to these altitudes, take it easy when you get here. Riding through these mountains is honestly one of the most surreal experiences of my entire life. The Royal Enfield Himalayan handles the roads like a mountain goat. It absolutely soaks up all bumps. Even when I hit a pretty large stone head on, I went fully out of the seat. It's like nothing happened at all. It just kept on rolling. No damage, nothing. And the good news is it is a very comfortable motorcycle. Yes, it's lacking in power, which can get frustrating, especially if you're coming off, big bites like an R6, 600cc Super Sport. You definitely feel the weight and the lack of power. But when you're just cruising and taking in the scenery, it's honestly perfect. One of the best things about this journey is the people that I got to meet along the way. The locals in this area, in this Kashmir, Manali area of India, are just so friendly, so sincere. Some of the nicest, warmest, most hospitable people I've ever met. They will sit you down, they will offer you a hot cup of chai, they will feed you, they don't even know you, but they'll treat you like your own son. Truly some magical, beautiful people I met on this trip. It's really in these environments is where the Himalayan truly shines. This terrain is no joke, but the bike's off-road capabilities are truly remarkable. It grips the ground, the suspension works hard, and even while pushing it through some of these roads, I felt a lot of confidence in the motorcycle. It's very simple, it's very basic. Kind of honestly feels like you're riding an Indian tractor sometimes, but the bike never skipped a beat once, and for that I'm truly grateful of the engineering behind this motorcycle. The beauty of the Himalayas is honestly indescribable. Every turn reveals a totally new, breathtaking vista, each more stunning than the last. The peacefulness of these mountains is a stark contrast to the chaos of city life, particularly coming from Australia. It's a reminder why we take these journeys, to reconnect with nature and ourselves, and there's no better way, in my opinion, to connect with nature on the road than being on two wheels in the open, feeling, hearing, smelling, sensing the environment around you. It is truly unbelievable, and I highly recommend, if you're into motorcycles and you like adventure riding, to give this a go. It is something I'll never forget. As we made it to really the furthest point in our route, which was Darcha, the vastness of the Himalayas stretches out from all directions. It's truly a humbling experience, standing here with nothing but the sound, the wind, the odd wildlife wolf call in the background. You feel so small, so insignificant when comparing to the natural height and depth and breadth of this landscape. When we're heading down towards Darcha, I can't help but reflect on this incredible journey. The Royal Enfield Himalayan has proven to be such a great companion for this journey, handling everything these mountains have to throw at us. And honestly, this is truly an example of where the ride isn't just about reaching the destination, it's about the adventure, the challenges, and the memories created along the way. If you ever consider planning a ride through the Himalayas, here's how I did it. So first I flew into New Delhi, then I took a Zing bus from the Kashmir Gate in New Delhi to Manali. So this bus ride takes about 8 to 10 hours. I got on about 10 p.m. at night and was in Manali about 8 a.m. in the morning. In Manali, I stayed in the old town, which I highly recommend if you want to experience the true historical charm of Manali. For my bike, I rented it from Manali Ladakh Bike Tours, who gave me a really nice discount for a 10-day rental. It only worked out to be 1 or 2,000 Indian rupees per day, which works out to be like 20-something Australian dollars, which really isn't much. So we based ourselves out of Manali for most of the trip, exploring different routes with day trips. When the trip was over, I took the Zing bus back to New Delhi and then flew home. So when you're planning to ride through the Himalayas, packing the right gear is crucial. Here's what I recommend. A high quality set of thermal underlayers, woolen thermal underlayers to keep you warm in cold temperatures. Some places it got down to -20. It was absolutely freezing. Waterproof riding gear, or at least a rain jacket that could fit over your riding. Woolen inner gloves or winter spec gloves to protect your hands from the cold. Thick woolen socks to keep your feet warm. A riding balaclava that covers your nose and lips. This is particularly important, as if you have a ventilated helmet, even with the vents closed, I found my nose was starting to go blue in some of the coldest areas. Thankfully, I had a balaclava on that covered it. If you could fit it in your luggage, a tank bag, as not all rentals have bikes with bags or panniers, and the ones that do will charge a lot more for the rental. Also, one thing to note, and I got really stuck in the airport with this, you could bring a helmet with you carry-on into India, but you're not allowed to bring a carry-on helmet out of India, flying out of New Delhi airport specifically, which means you need to have space to either pack your helmet into your luggage, have enough space in your suitcase and enough protection to bring it with you, to pack it with you so it doesn't get damaged. And finally, a small first aid kit is pretty essential. I always carry one. Thank God I haven't had to use it on myself. I have had to use it on a few fellow riders that have gone down when I have been riding with them. But they're worth their weight in gold. First aid kits, always never leave home without one. So as I mentioned, the temperatures can vary widely in the Himalayas. In one place it could be 20 degrees Celsius, 4 hours up the road. It can then be -20, so be prepared to add or remove layers of clothing during your ride. Riding the Himalayas is like an experience no other, but it's important to be prepared, especially if you're not riding in India or Asia. Here's a few tips for Western riders. The road rules here are more like a suggestion. Cars will frequently run red lights and stop signs, and they will often turn in front of you without indicating. But you need to be confident and experienced rider. You need to be a safe rider and a highly attentive rider before attempting this type of trip. The road conditions can be extremely hazardous, For example, you could turn a blind quarter around cliff face only to find the road in front of you is collapsed directly into the valley below. Landslides happen frequently in this region, and they're often unmarked. So sometimes the locals might put some rocks out the front of them, but that's not a guarantee. So you really need to be paying 110% attention at all times and focusing on the road ahead. The scenery is breathtaking, so make sure to stop frequently to take it in and to rest and revive. There's a lot of debris and road on the rocks from landslides and thawing ice. I recommend using a motorcycle with off-road spec tires, and sports tires wouldn't really fare well here at all. Some roads are completely unpaved and heavily cratered. Be prepared to ride standing up in the saddle. If you're not comfortable doing this, I highly recommend practicing and getting comfortable with riding standing up in the saddle before you come. Animals like horses, cows, and yaks will randomly walk across the road or just simply stand in the middle of it, so be prepared for that. And the traffic around Manali can be very bad, so try to get away early in the morning to avoid it. Thank you for joining me on this ride through the Himalayas. If you ever get the chance to take on this journey, don't hesitate. It's an experience you'll never forget. Until next time, ride safe and keep exploring.